So a couple of just notes. The deadline for the Echoland Shopper is now 1 p.m. The press moved that at about 12:30 p.m. today. I don't foresee that as being an issue on our end because if I remember correctly, Joe, you mostly put that together on Tuesday night, right?
Yeah, we got this on Tuesday night.
Yeah. So the only thing is just that if there's classified overflow, classifieds are going to come in at 10, so we should hear like 11:30 if we need to put something else on there to fill that overflow. But otherwise not going to affect us a ton. If you were doing Fargo opinion, please be mindful of at the end of the opinion, it says like Joe Schmo lives in Fargo, and then this editorial doesn't reflect the views of the forum or whatever. Those two lines always need to be cut because those are just for online. The person's name and where they live should be up in the byline field. Double check that before you delete it, but byline 1 should be their name, byline 2 should be where they're from. So that information should not be at the end of the letter, and that web disclaimer about things not being the view of the company should be cut off because that's also on the actual page. And that's done. So please make sure that when you're preparing those for designers, I think like I know today there was one in there, like they get through a lot. So please keep an eye on that. It would appear that Worthington asked for their briefs to be labeled digest. Nobody's allowed to label things digest. They're briefs. So they can have it be local briefs if they want to, but we're not going to use the word digest because it makes Joe have a stroke.
That's right.
So I guess keep doing digest if you want Joe to have a stroke. I don't know how much you have looked at all of the nation world pages that have been done in the past week or so, but I certainly can tell that designers are stepping it up, and it looks like with the content that you're giving them, that is making it easier for them too. We've had some really good pages. I'm excited about that, and I'm excited to move forward and keep having great pages. We're also working now on some specialty pages. Hannah identified some wire stories that we could give kind of a bigger treatment, which we did. Designers put some of those together today into some really nice presentations that I'll probably coordinate with Hannah for us to schedule those to put them in the paper. I want us to be doing that more. When you find a really good story that with good art that doesn't have to run today, or a good story that doesn't have good art that we could like give to the designer to use some stock art or something like that to really draw attention to it. Stuff that should be highlighted, things that are of interest, just anything that really sticks out that we could, wait a couple of days to publish. Please let me know, and then I'll get those assigned out to designers so that then we can insert them on a different day and the designers have some time to work on them. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And that is true of wire stories as well as local stories. So if you're working on, I don't know, Park Rapids, and Park Rapids has a story that you're like, this is a really good story with some great art that I think would be of considerable worth to all the Minnesota properties. We can create an e-edition page that goes just to the Minnesota properties and send that one out. So anything you can think of. Also, any stories that you see that you think we could kind of tweak to turn into infographics or timelines or things like that, something that we can present in a more visual way, that would be great too. I send some example pages out, but I want us to start focusing on some kind of alternative story formats if we can, because they really grab readers, and they also, when we talk about like the average length of how long people look at something online, infographics and things like that, people spend more time on that than on articles usually. because of the way it's laid out. It's appealing enough that it keeps their brain going to look at the whole thing. So just anything you guys can think of that we can do. I'm going to pull stuff today so that we can do a ballot page for the Oscars. So to say who's nominated for everything, and then, we'll put it in the edition and people can print it out and then, work with their friends to like, well, I think it's going to be Troy Kotzer for Best Act, and then see who wins, I guess. And then, when the actual Oscars are, then we can have one page of the news of who won and stuff, and then one page of all the fashions and, things like that, to really just expand what we have for our e-edition and make it more interesting.
Now, Alicia, when I'm doing like when stuff comes into me on the incoming board, my first indication, obviously, like, is to turn that around and get it in for print or e-edition, the very next day, like a live thing. But I think, and my main thrust is for the Saturdays, the Wednesdays and the Saturdays when it comes to, I want to have enough print content ready, so that everybody has an easier time filling up their pages. Could some of these be transferred to one? I mean, if we had enough time, could we say, well, I suppose this would require more coordination with like, I don't want to like suggest we do like 1 pages for print, because then papers have to add those pages, which, screws up books and increase costs and all that.
Some things we do aren't going to be worth the whole entire page though. So we could do, some things could just be a half page on something, and then that could be available for print. They've got a half page that's open.
So we could do like almost like, I could list it on the print budget as almost like here's a module of a half page Park Rapids interesting story.
Yep.
And it's already laid out. And if you need it, you can plug it in on one of your pages or something.
Right. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Or, here's a half page feature on the specifics of the baseball lockout in Minnesota, how it affects the Twins, or, stuff like that. Yep. Absolutely.
Okay.
So a reminder that the publication guides that we talked about last week need to be in, your rough drafts need to be in by Sunday at 11:59 p.m. So that way we can, review them next week and work on them. And then when they're mostly done, then I'm going to talk with each individual editor to see if there's stuff that we need to add to make sure that we note on those for them. So please make sure that you have those done and that they're done on time. If you are not going to get them done for some reason, if something's going on, please make sure that you let me know what the problem is and why, and when you expect you will get them done, so that I'm aware of what's happening. And then the last thing here is Matt and I went through those surveys that we had you take kind of a while ago about your comfort level with different aspects of the job. How well you felt like, for proofing stories, for, budgeting the nation world pages and stuff like that. And we have come up with a plan for you all to work with each other, mentor each other on how to do those things so that you can get the training you need to be comfortable in all aspects of the job. So you will be hearing from me soon if you had any of those areas that you rated low that you didn't feel comfortable doing. And some of you who did not rate anything low will also be hearing from me, because I will ask you to work with someone else on the team to share your knowledge and just, to work alongside that person. So, for instance, a few people said that they're not very comfortable with dealing with sports and getting those sports stories. So Jack, on certain nights, will have you work with that person to walk them through the process, explain why you do what you do, what that looks like, just to help each other learn those things so that you all have the information and know what's going on. So any questions on that? Okay, then all I have left is that Meredith, Ben, Hannah, Carrie, and Lily, if you all could stick around after the meeting. You all indicated that you don't know how to pull an approved page back in Page Track. So I just want to go over that quickly. If any of you also don't know how to do it, feel free to stick around also. So, all right. Thank you all.
I thought that was a hub manager only thing.
So you're not necessarily going to be doing it all the time, but I just want everybody to know how to be able to do it. So that way, if the hub manager is busy and something needs to be pulled back, like if you notice, after you've uploaded something and then you realize like, oh crap, that's not how you spell that name or whatever. I just want you all to be able to do it. So give me a second here. Share my window. Okay, so it's just part of the designer home in Page Track. Go to View Pages, and then whatever the publication is. So let's do today or the forum. Then all the pages are in here. If you wanted to just download a copy of the InDesign file for some reason, you do that here as well. But if you need to unapprove a page, you just hit unapprove, and then it goes back to the queue of whoever the designer is. So this A6 here, if we unapproved it, it would end up right back in Aaron's queue. Questions on that? If you pull a page back, it's important that you make sure you let the hub manager on duty know, because they will have to email the press if it's print edition. If it's not a print edition, we still just keep track of reasons that we pulled pages back. And especially if it's because of a designer error, they need to know that. So just let them know that you pulled a page back and why. So questions?
Could I get the link to that? I don't even have, I mean, I don't use that.
Yeah,
Page
I was
Track
going to ask you to
website
stay
that much.
around after everybody else leaves, because I have
Yeah.
questions for you. So, all right. Okay. If you don't have any questions, the rest of you are good. Thank you.